Buenas tardes, good afternoon. Welcome to ¿Qué pasa, mujer? Bienvenidos a ¿Qué pasa, mujer? Estamos aquí todos los domingos a las 4 de la tarde. We're here every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Hoy vamos a hablar de la familia y cómo ser mejores padres. Y tenemos una experta con nosotros hoy. Today we're going to be talking about parenting, co-parenting, parenting by yourself. And we have a special guest today, an expert in the field. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and bring Nicté and Maddie on. Vamos a tener a Nicté y Maddie que están con nosotros hoy. Hola, mujeres, ¿cómo están?
Hola, mujeres. ¿Cómo están?
Bien, ¿y tú?
Bien sentada.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
How's it going on the West Coast? What's going on? What happened over there this week with you, Nicté?
Getting cold. I don't do well with a cold. So if you see me moving like this a lot, it's because I'm trying to stay warm. It's starting to, we've kind of had the hot, cold, and I realized that I forget what it's called, where people's moods kind of goes down because of the winter, like seasonal, not depression, but like my mood isn't as uppity beady as it normally is. So I am
there's
basking
definitely a need
in,
for that.
yeah, I forget what it's called. But I definitely know I have that. And when it gets colder here with the wind, you can't really spend as much time outside. But I am thankful that where I have my office, I have some really nice big windows up there. So we do get some sun. And so I try to soak it in. And sometimes the sun hits the right way where you can just get it on your face. So it's kind of like my little moment of just getting sun. I've heard that it's really good to try at least do 10 minutes of sun exposure in the morning. So I'm trying to start building that in. Even if it's cold, I can at least try and go outside for a little bit and soak that sun in. So aside from that, things have been really busy. With the holidays, we kind of took things easy, which was nice. I didn't have to cook all week. I think my husband's been like taking care of everything, which has been really nice. Yeah, I feel very, very blessed. He made Thanksgiving dinner. I think I made one of the dishes, but mostly it's him, which was really nice. And we took it relaxing. We were watching football earlier, so if you hear some screaming in the behind the scenes, he's watching next to us. So all really just grateful for just a good week. I had noticed I did have some couple of bad days, and I couldn't figure out why my mood was just so like to the Kwaima mode. And I realized it was my sleep. You know, it's these little things that affect so much of what we do on our day to day. So we usually go to sleep at a certain time and our body just wakes up super early. So I wasn't getting enough sleep and I just felt really groggy. And then last night I told my husband, I know what it is. I haven't been sleeping well because we've been up. It's kind of like the off days. So we've been up later than our usual time. And then our son wakes up super early. And yeah, ¿cómo se dice en inglés? Lo and behold, or dicho y hecho, went to sleep early last night at my normal time. Woke up, dicho y hecho. How do you say it in English?
Maddie?
Said and done? Maddie?
Said and done?
Lord and behold, yeah.
Is it lo and behold or Lord and behold?
Lord, yeah.
Oh, mira, I was saying lo and behold.
Hey, we learn something new every day.
Exactly. This is why our show is so amazing. Yeah, and that was it. And I felt so much better today. So aside from my hands and feet being cold, all good.
Good.
How about
What about you, Maddie?
Yeah, I had it's been interesting week as always, busy at work, but mainly like I said last weekend I wasn't able to join you girls because I was in the hospital with my daughter. She's definitely doing much better. She was discharged on Monday. She had a severe kidney infection, and as you guys know, she's pregnant. So it was tough because at the beginning we didn't know what it was. She was just having pain, and immediately you think contractions and the baby's coming and it's not time, so it was scary, but we managed. And then of course she has to condition where she throws up on a regular basis and she gets constantly dehydrated. So we spent the whole time she was in the hospital getting fluids and stuff. But like I said, thankfully she's doing better. It's been 3 days since the last time she threw up. So that's a record. So we're really happy about that. And of course, the baby is doing great. So, nothing wrong with the baby, just my daughter's falling apart. So just praying that she can hang on, for the remainder of the time. Family's doing well. The boys are doing good. This Thanksgiving, it's been a couple of months, a few months since I've had the 3 kids here in the house with me. So it was just wonderful to have them all here. And, I got to cook. I cleaned the house and prepare the house, last minute as always. On Monday, my husband's like, oh, by the way, we're doing it here in the house. I'm like, oh, we are. So, yeah. So I had to prepare the house to be able to receive, it was like 25 people here in the house. And, but everything went well. And I spent the whole day cooking and making desserts. And it was funny because I usually have my regulars that I cook. And then this year I was like, okay, I'm going to try this one and I'm going to try that one. And I've been watching like TikTok videos and, Facebook, videos. So I ended up cooking, like I made like, I don't know, 4 or 5 desserts, and like 3 or 4 of them were TikTok made me do it kind of thing. So it was so much fun. So they were like, what? And, it's funny because I always tell my kids, we're Dominican, we eat Dominican food. And they're like, Mom, what happened to the word Dominican? We eat Dominican food. What are you doing? But it was a lot of fun. Have been battling a little bit with my sciatic nerve. I went to the doctor and they said that, sometimes the pain comes from your spine, sometimes it comes from your pelvic bone. So the doctor suggests that I wear like a belt around my, my hips, and supposedly it helps compress your pelvic bone and it helps you with the sciatic pain. So been struggling a little bit with that. So can walk with my heels. And if you know me, I wear my heels from 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night every day. And I've been struggling with that. So that's like hitting me in the heart, but I'm dealing with it. But overall, I'm just thankful that for the time, for the blessings, that I know that is not easy, but we're constantly pushing forward and we're making it. So every day we open our eyes and we make it. It's a success. So I'm thankful for that.
That's awesome.
How about you, Anna?
For me, it was nice. It was different. My grandmother and I, we rented like a house by the beach, so we could all be under like one roof. And I didn't let them cook. The only thing that I let my mom do was like do a dessert. So I make sure that I took care of the cooking and the cleaning. So that was fun. We had a death in the family, but even within listening to that, it was a cousin of ours that had cancer in Colombia. Like it was a reminder that, God has his plans and that's just what we do, and things could have been worse, even though you hear cancer and you already think that's the worst. But it could have been worse, for whoever's taking care of him. So even though in sadness, we were still able to come together and the boys was there. And I don't know if you guys noticed my ring. So that also happened. So we're excited about that as well. And that was it. That was my week.
Hold on, you can't just show the ring and not tell the story.
Like, that's it. Like nothing happened. Hello.
Oh my God, I have such a headache. Oh my God.
Show the ring because you have us blinded by the ring. So now
So it was like I was very shocked and surprised. So I don't really remember everything that he said. I just know that at the end I said thank you, and he was like,
you were blinded by the ring too.
Yes or no? I was like yes, but I initially said thank you. But yeah, the kids are excited and my mom is excited. So it was nice. It was definitely surprising. Thank you.
Felicidades.
Yes. So that's it. So it was fun. It was fun. It was unique. It was very family oriented, definitely this year. It was fun. It was nice and peaceful, which I love. So that was amazing. So today we brought our girl Vicky back. We're going to talk about parenting. You could go ahead and bring her on, Mark, because we all, Que Pasa Mujer already knows Vicky Williams. And she's going to talk a little bit to us about parenting, co-parenting. And I know we've talked about this topic before, but we did it without an expert with us. We were just talking about it in our personal experiences. I know when I was going through a challenge with Vicky, I called her and I said, "Hey, what do I do?" And she, she gave me her spill or whatever. But I think it's a good idea, again, as the year ends, to reevaluate what we're doing. And I know we talked about the fact that co-parenting is not just something that happens with married couples, also with couples that are married or not married, and same household or not same household. So we want to, kind of maybe get some pointers from Vicky today in reference to the do's and the don'ts, the things that you have seen that have worked, especially, and maybe some stuff that you have seen that definitely like do not do this, if it ever happens. So we are super excited that you're here with us today. If you could tell us a little bit about how did you end up going into this field?
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Viviana. Thank you so much, Maddie. And I don't know how to pronounce your first name. Would you be so kind as to do that for me?
Yes, absolutely. It's Nikte.
Nikte.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And excited to meet you. So I've been a mediator now 24 years, and I've seen a lot of different, difficult, challenging, unique custody, visitation, child support cases. So it was a natural attrition for me to be a part of assisting folks in how they could co-parent more effectively. And so the opportunity to train the trainer was allotted to me, and I just jumped on it. And I found that I have a knack for it because I have a passion for the resolution and the power of conflict, understanding that conflict is not bad, conflict is not good, conflict is necessary. Because conflict can bring about change, it can open doors. It's definitely something we need to discuss. So the opportunity to be here this evening, it is simply my pleasure.
Thank you. I love it. And like I struggle with conflict because I like shy. I run I run a marathon going away from conflict, but I have learned that some positive things can come out of it. So I think that's needed to actually journal about it sometimes, because I really truly despise it. But I've learned to not despise it so much and just kind of welcome it, or learn what to do with it when it comes.
Absolutely.
Nikta, do you want to go ahead and start with your question of the day?
Ooh, okay. Starting by fire. Well, I'm super excited about this topic because I think that there's just so much that we can talk about. But I am curious, in all your years of experience that you've encountered, I'm sure you've seen so many things, but have you seen patterns within conflict that could be heightened by where there's cultural differences or language differences?
Absolutely.
So communication barrier.
Absolutely. Because the power is imbalanced, and people come into these relationships with implicit biases. Because this is not your native language, then I'm going to assume that you don't understand, or you're not as smart as me, or I can hamper you. And that's where some elements of abuse can come into play, especially financial abuse, because we only, instantly when we think of abuse, we think of physical abuse, but there are other forms of it. And the financial abuse, the fact that this is my native language and this is my native country, so let me impede your ability to either get out or impede your ability so that you have to stay. And then because people come into these relationships, and when they're trying to assist you, it's already challenging if English is not your native language. And then people aren't always as supportive as they should be. They don't provide you with the information you need so that you could either gain the information from what's provided to you, or be able to have a colleague or friend or family member with you as you navigate these things. So yes, ma'am, indeed. If it's not your native language, if you come from cultural differences. And so let's speak about different cultural differences. Some cultures are very patriarchal, some cultures are not. And sometimes folks see that little hole, they take advantage of it and they build upon it, and they keep doing little micro aggressions to tear you down. So yes, absolutely, it can be problematic.
Wow. Yeah. And it's incredible to kind of see that too. And it's sad that you've seen it so much.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
there anything that you would suggest for anyone who's listening who might know someone who's going through that to kind of get support or encourage them to seek help? Because I think sometimes with these things, especially with these microaggressions, they might not see it as an issue, or they might just
Right.
put it under the rug because some of our culture might say, hey, you're not supposed to stand up to, voice your own voice as a woman, for instance,
Absolutely.
versus the man situation.
Absolutely. And, just for my culture and African American culture, it can be very maternal and can be very patriarchal, depending on the people and their experiences and their life experiences. But definitely, if someone is an elder and they tell you you can't, you tend to shy back and fall back. But what could be done is you have to develop trusted relationships with either family or friends who will give you or provide you with guidance, and also to support you as you make these hard decisions, and not come from a position of judgment or actually become problematic themselves, because folks who don't like how you move automatically assume that the reason you're moving is a wrong move and they want to tell you how to move. People have to understand that support is what's crucial and critical here. And I also encourage anyone who's going through a conflict or a contested custody visitation or even child support case, take a co-parenting class, because the co-parenting class is not about you being a good or bad parent. It's about giving you the tools so that you can engage safely and effectively with the other parent. So gather all the information you can, engage with who you trust, and take the information, but utilize your critical thinking skills and weigh the pros and cons so you can make a decision that you feel comfortable with, not what everybody feels that you need to do.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vicki.
You're welcome.
Definitely really, really helpful and very empowering to listen to what is best for yourself and kind of filter the conversations.
Yeah, because that stuff is like Charlie Brown. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yada, 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 yada. And everybody got something to say. But right now, I need space to determine the information that you're giving me, how I can boil it down so it's helpful to me. And that's hard to do for women in any culture.
Yeah, that's great information, Vicki. I wanted to know. I know sometimes, when as a parent, especially as a young parent, sometimes when you go through these custody battles and things like that, we are afraid to utilize our resources, like you said, especially when it comes to the legal system, because we are afraid. Especially, I think in most cases, it's natural, we give more power to the woman, because it's the mother. So as a father or as a parent, it's a little bit different to be empowered, to kind of be able to make a choice or a decision. So saying that to say, I just wanted to know, as a court mediator, do you see it often where you have parents that may have an agreement and sometimes that agreement needs to be revised?
Yes.
If they are life-changing events, even if they don't agree to the mediation? Can one parent come and say, this agreement that we have, that we signed off on right now at this moment, is not working for my life? Can we revise it without the other parent? Because I know mediation, both parents need to be in agreement to be able to go to a mediator. But if something is not working for me and the other parent is not in agreement, what can I do? What are my resources? How can I act?
That's a great question. So let's talk about mediation a little bit. Mediation is embedded into the court system. And mediation is an option that's available to parents, because what they're looking for is if the two of you are able to discuss and devise or develop an agreement, folks are more apt to adhere to agreements that they have a voice in creating. Now, there are times that mediation is just not a viable solution. If you have abuse, if you have this huge imbalance of power, if you as a person feel that you cannot get past your personal issue with the other party's behavior. And that's something we need to discuss, because someone's behavior is like a broken record. It continues to skip. All you see is the behavior. So that means you are emotionally tied to the behavior, and you're not thinking about what is in the best interest of the children. You're thinking about how I can win. That's where it becomes problematic. Now, if mediation is off the table, if it is a true imbalance of power, then yes, you can go to the court system and the judge will make that decision based on the information that has been presented to the judge. Now, I want to just also note that a lot of men are starting to get custody of their children. When I first started, it seemed like it was automatic that the mother should get custody, or the female in the relationship. It could be the grandmother, the great grandmother, the mother, the aunt. They should automatically receive custody. That's not true anymore. Other parties have voices, and that voice could be in mediation, heard in mediation and supported, or it could go to the court system and the judge will make that decision based on the information presented. So I say that all to say is that in order for folks to really do what's in the best interest of their children, they've got to put their emotional issues on the shelf. And it is not about you. It's about the children. What's in the best interest of the children. But what happens more often than not is folks go into either mediation, court, or whatever. I'm not, nah, he can't, no. Or my personal favorite, I want full custody, but he can see the children anytime he wants. I'm so sorry. That is a oxymoron, because it goes back to control. So I have full custody, which means I can make all the decisions with my children, about my children, for my children. But you can see your children anytime you want if I say so. That's full custody. That is unequitable and unfair, because you are trying to control the engagement of the other parent with the children. Now, when it's full custody, you got abuse, you have just problematic engagement, or they put the children in some unsafe spaces and places. However, you saying, I want full custody because I'm the one who's been taking care of the child this whole time. I'm the one who needs to make those decisions. But hey, you can see them anytime you want, but you're going to have to call me. And when you call me, depending on how you come at me, that's whether or not I'm going to let you see your children. How is that helpful? That's helpful to you, for you to regain control that you lost in the middle of the relationship. I get that. That's adult situations, and it can be problematic. However, if you focus on what's in the best interest of your children and not you, you may not be the person who cares for them all the time, but you're consistently engaged with your children. But then it falls back to this question. Well, Miss Vicky, he's a narcissist. She's a narcissist. I have heard so many diagnoses of narcissists, and I'm like, y'all got psychiatric degrees? Did I
Yeah,
miss
we
something?
diagnose them. You didn't know about that? We can do
Girl,
that.
listen. I'm like, oh, he's a narcissist. He all he thinks about is himself. But aren't you thinking about yourself too? You know, having these conversations. When I host my co-parenting class, when I facilitate, I talk about what we've all experienced. We've all worked with somebody we ain't like. We've all been in business with somebody we ain't like. We've all had employees we ain't like. But if the employees get the job done, if our coworkers get the job done, and they still speak to us with respect and dignity, I ain't got to like you to work with you. You ain't got to like them to be co-parents with them. So I asked them, start visualizing yourself as a corporation. I'm Vicky Corporation, you're Viviana Corporation, Maddie Corporation, and Nick Tay Corporation. And so you have that up. You are here to discuss and provide information on the child. That's it. You can use pleasantries, good morning, good afternoon, but your conversation, even if you have to write down, start taking control of your mind and how you engage with this person. Stop thinking about their behavior, because it's the behavior that is problematic. Because for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 seconds, or whatever y'all was good enough to create this being,
Yeah,
you
that's
had
right.
enough love. I mean, in the best sense, right? Most situations, you had love or like, or y'all was good for that minute or two or three or five. But when I say that in class, the men be like, that's too little. I'd be like, okay. Moving right along. So we want to start engaging from the lens of how is what I'm going to say or do be in the best interest of my child, not about how I can make you kowtow down to me because I got the upper hand. And then, and I don't even know if you said this, Maddie, but I'm on a roll, so let me just go, right? So let's also refrain from speaking, acting, and reacting negative when the other parent's name is brought up. Let's stop it. Stop. Okay? So you can bleep me out however you want to do it. But if I'm saying he ain't shit, guess what you're saying about your child? Okay? Think about these things. Words have power and they destroy. And when he calls to pick up the children and the child sitting right next to you, let this not be your face. Well, Miss Vicky, I never say anything bad about my father of my children. Or Miss Vicky, I never say anything bad about the mother of my children. Well, you ain't got to say nothing because this says it all. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. So pay attention to your verbal and nonverbal clues. Be mindful of your terminology and words. And focus what's in the best interest of your child or children, not you. Because at the end of the day, you ain't got to tell nobody how raggedy somebody is. Because folks will show it. They can't hide it. If you're raggedy, it's going to come out, right? But you ain't got to tell it because you chose them, didn't you? Right? You chose them.
That's true. Yeah.
You know,
I was going to ask you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what are some because that was a great idea that you gave us, that a pointer in reference to looking at ourselves as a corporation. I think that's awesome. What are two other things that you would advise a mom or a dad in reference to making it work? because I think a lot of the times, it's like I always see partnership or marriage as these two people that come from two different worlds, and they got to make this world together work. And it's kind of like extra conflict when the two couples are no longer together, and now you have these children, whether you have 1, 2, or 3 or 4 children. So what are 2 other pointers that you can give us in reference to help us move in the direction of things working for the benefit of the children?
Absolutely. So plan the conversation. Plan the conversation that you're going to have with the other party. Keep it focused on the children. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Why are you even talking to me? And also, when you're thinking of yourself as a corporation, and I think all of you ladies here are either in business or have some customer service, you got to do it. You have to be responsive, responsible, be mindful of your tone. This ain't time for trickery. Oh, he's 5-10 minutes late. Nah, you can't see the children because you 5-10 minutes late. You supposed to be here at 6. You was here at 6:10. I left. No one called anyone. And no one is saying that you were wrong, but you were wrong because you were irritated. So you left. So again, so you want to be responsive. You want to be responsible. You want to provide folks with the information they need so they can support the child, see the child, visit the child. Watch your tone and the timing of your conversation. If you're angry, this is not the time to have a conversation. So you have to really be alerted to your own triggers.
I love that point that you made. I think it's important. I always say, we are adults first, and I know not everybody is an adult, but I think when you have a child, it's or when children are involved, it's the perfect time to start thinking of yourself as an adult because you have a little person looking up to you. So I think it's always very important, to understand that you have to learn to communicate. And I know not everybody has that dawn of conversation, but you gotta learn to express yourself, say what you want, sometimes, like you said, Vicky, be aware of yourself, but at the same time have to learn to express what you are feeling, because sometimes I think we expect the other person to guess, what we're feeling. And we're talking about different cultures sometimes, so when you come from different cultures, people grow up differently, and what is normal for me might not be normal for the next person. I think it's important to kind of be able to voice what you're feeling, what your needs are, what you want. And also it's important to be able to listen, because sometimes, we're so focused on this is what I need, this is what I need, this is what I need, that sometimes we forget to kind of sit back and just listen to what the needs of the other person may be as well. And I also think that it is important to kind of be able to meet somewhere in the middle, because I think, sometimes when you are, when you're focused on what's beneficial for you, because, you're thinking about what I want, and we forget about what the other person wants. We forget that we're never going to go one-sided. It's never going to be all the way you want it or all the way the way he wants it. So it has to be somewhere in the middle. So what are some pointers that you can give to kind of like young parents, or parents that have been at it for a long time, how can we, how do you, as a mediator, how do you find that middle,
It is always challenging, especially when you're in the midst of this emotional quagmire, right? Because you're stuck. So I will often go into a little room and give folks some reality checks, right? They don't always like them, but hey, it is what it is, right? So what's important to know is when you go into any type of negotiation, you got to know what you're willing to live without to get to the greater good. What can you pull down What can you put to the side so that the other party can see that you're trying to work? And that is often difficult. I also tell folks that when you're getting ready to have these conversations, plan it, know the outcome that you seek. You brought up a very important point, Maddie. Listen, and then reframe and rephrase so that I know you heard me. And be ready in your head to have a safe space in your head so you can accept constructive criticism. Because, see, a conversation, ladies, is not one-sided.
Right.
It's relay and convey. It's listen and reframe and rephrase, which means you going into this difficult conversation, getting ready to tell Maddie all these things I have concerns about. But Maddie got some concerns too. So when you go into this, you have to be ready in your head, your heart, your soul to receive some not good things that you're going to hear about you and your behavior, and not be so defensive. I say this all the time. You have nothing to defend if you've done nothing to defend. Okay? So to Viviana's point, you don't like conflict. I don't like it either. I want to just tell folk what they need to do. I'm like, look here, just sit your tail down somewhere and shut up. Can you do that? That's inappropriate, not polite, unprofessional, but I be wanting to do it too. I don't like conflict either, but conflict draws me. I'm a very compassionate, kind, resourceful person, but I can be angry, mean, and tough. So how do I balance this? I have to shut up sometimes, because if someone says something about me, or if I hear something, I want to step in and protect folks. I can't step in and protect everybody. Folks have to feel safe enough to say what they need to say, but they have to also be open enough to hear it.
Yeah.
It is a process.
I know
So
with,
planning helps.
Yes, I think that's a very good point, because sometimes we're so in our emotions, and like you said, we're saying the other person is narcissistic, but we're narcissistic as well. But I think that's a key point, because I know in my personal situation, there were so many times that we didn't know how to resolve the conflict, but I had to learn to think, and I didn't think about it in reference to me being a corporation, but I thought about, this is for the benefit of the children, right? So what is the best thing to do? So I found myself listening a lot and just letting the other party talk. And now that I gave him the opportunity to talk, then I can request my opportunity to talk. So I think also, like, knowing your audience, like, yes, you had a relationship with this person. You loved them at one point, so if you can kind of sit down and think about who this person is, because they do have a heart, right? And if we're at the point where we're in mediation, that means that we both care about the children, because if we didn't care, then the other one would be somewhere in another country and they wouldn't even be present or anything like that. So I think just the fact that there's presence from both parties, we want the same things. It's just, how do you get there? How do you end up at the same end of the road? And I just think that that's good to kind of know who is my audience. And like you said, Vicky, just shut up at times. So if we can kind of not say anything and let the other person express themselves, because probably the same hurt that they have is the same hurt that's happening on the other side as well. So I think it's and it's good. And I love the fact that they have mediation in the court system. Do they have any mediation available before you, like, even with my divorce, we never went to court. We kind of did it on our own. And we even assigned a mediator in our divorce decree, not a particular person, but we said that we would go to mediation if him and I couldn't agree on things. But I know that mediation can happen outside of the court system. What can we do if we know that mediation is needed, but that other individual isn't trying to do that? What can we do?
So there's an option that's available for folks who are trained in this: conflict coaching. provide you with guidance on how you can have these crucial conversations with the other party. So it's just providing that little coaching, that guidance, come back and unpack certain terminology. So I do that type of work as well.
So you mean like coaching the one party that's interested in the mediation?
Correct. Because for mediation to work, both parties have to agree, as Viviana had said. But there's sometimes you have the other party and they don't want to mediate. They don't want to have those conversations. But you want to learn the skills, the tools to be able to have either a conversation with this person eventually, or plan it, or keep you from getting so upset, so disturbed by what they're saying. So that's where the coaching in conflict comes about.
I think that that's really powerful, kind of like how you were saying the idea of coaching, because that was one of the questions that was coming to my mind, is how you might see people who could need some extra help to navigate this. And one of the things that I am thinking is so important and crucial that many of us don't do is the idea of being self-aware. I know Viviana says a lot of things that she'll just stay quiet and listen. And I think that there's so much power in being quiet and not being reactive. And because sometimes when we're reactive, we tend to be emotional with our reactions and we just unpack all this wave of emotions. But I think that there's something powerful to consider when it comes where you have two adults who come from two different complete backgrounds. Even if you grew up in the same town or city, in the same little neighborhood, there's still these stories that we carry that affect our who we are. So I think that one of the things I wrote on my little notes to ask you is that self-awareness of how we were impacted as children, how we were raised as children, or even parents who were separated or divorced, and how that carries through in the choices that we make as adults, or how that shifts. So is there anything that you've seen in how there's clearly some childhood trauma or unresolved issues of these adults that you're seeing in these conflict resolutions, of how they process or react? And do you help them when you see these things, saying, hey, there's something a little bit deeper than just this negotiation that we're trying to do that's best for your children? These are, some coaching things that I would suggest.
So I have to be very careful on how I engage with folks, because I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor. And when I'm very intuitive, and I can give you tips, I can give you tools. And I could say you may want to seek assistance, additional guidance, but I got to be very mindful of that. But most definitely, if someone reaches out to me and asks for coaching, I offer that, but I have to be finite with it. Because what I've seen happen with me, is they start to, every decision, they want to come to me. And in the beginning, when you're starting, trying to do these things, you're like, oh, I'm going to help you. I'm a helper, because I'm a helper. But what I had to learn is I can't help everybody. And folks will start to attach themselves to you and your guidance. And then they start to become problematic with that. And so I've had to cut some folks off, but I will offer coaching as an option. And if they exercise it, I do it over a finite period of time, because you should be able to gain enough tools from our conversations to be able to strengthen your toolbox to be able to do this on your own. So people in the midst of trauma, and when I've taken those classes and I go back and reflect on myself, I realize that my experience in life as a child, a young adult, was peppered with all kinds of trauma. And I've not had any assistance, but sooner or later I have to navigate it myself. But that's not to negate, reach out for counseling, reach out for a professional to give you the exact tools. So with that being said, I want to be very mindful. I set up boundaries because folks will try to remove your boundaries because they become addicted to your assistance and guidance. And
Ooh, yeah.
I don't want that. Nah.
Wow. Yeah. The fact that you said addicted to your assistance and guidance, I think that that's something that I know, at least on the side of business, I've encountered. And since we're kind of talking about the idea of corporations, people who just gravitate towards you because you provide something that they can't yet do. And it's kind of like that. It weighs you down. And yeah, that's really, really powerful. That's my question for now.
That's so interesting. What is there like a particular scenario or family that you had that you kind of think back now and you were like, oh my God, like that was like so crazy, or I don't know if you can reveal some of that information in reference
Well, I
to
can do it in a just because one thing
just
about
general.
me, with all the things going on with my brain, I can barely remember my own name, right? So I don't tell all that stuff because I don't remember no way.
Yeah.
But what I have often found problematic when I facilitate custody and visitation cases is when the grandmother wants to come in. And I had a very interesting case one time where it was the grandmother was the one who filed the petition for visitation in custody. The son was there, and the mother, of course. So the mother refused to speak to the grandmother because she said, I didn't lay down with you. He lives with you, so I will negotiate a visitation and custody agreement with him. And since he lived there, you could see them when you're there because you're there. And she was like, and I was like, I mean, what do you say to that? She simply said, I didn't lay down with you. Why I got to discuss this with you when he lived with you? The logic, but it was about control. It was about the son wasn't moving as fast as she needed him to move. So it was about control. Then I had another situation where the dude was married. The young lady had a baby, was pregnant. And this is when I got ahead of myself. So she was like, well, I don't want your wife to be involved with this baby. And he was like, why, we live together, blah, 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 blah. And I'm reframing and rephrasing because I'm anticipating why she don't want the wife to be involved. I'm like, well, you could understand, it's an extramatrimonial affair, blah, 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 blah. And so you could understand why she would be apprehensive. He said, Miss Vicky, you don't understand. See, everybody think they know everything, but everybody don't know everything. He's like, no, you don't understand. I said, what do you mean I don't understand? You're married, you got a baby by this young lady. She's apprehensive. He said, no, that's not it at all. Let me help you understand. I was like, okay, help me. He said it was a menage a trois. We were all part of this, where she got angry. Why she's angry, my wife got angry, is because I went outside of the menage a trois and had a relationship with the young lady that resulted in a baby. That part about shutting up, I had to shut up. That part about
you know everything.
hey, that part about I know what I anticipate what you about to say, it was time to listen. So then I had to fall back and let's have a conversation regarding rebuilding blocks of trust.
Right.
So those are a couple of my unusual ones.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also, if you can kind of give us some pointers in reference to just co-parenting in general, when you are in the same household and maybe you have different points of views in reference to maybe discipline of the children, whether it's a boy or a girl? What are some things that we need to discuss, maybe behind closed doors, before we
Absolutely.
ultimately handle discipline? What are some things that you can tell us about a married couple or a
Absolutely.
couple that's under the same household?
So it's about planning the conversation. Excuse me, ladies. About planning the conversation. What is the issue? Step away from the anger, because most definitely, most importantly, these hard conversations start about behavior. So we have to step away from the emotion of the anger and the behavior and talk about what is the actual issue. So that may be a time for you to sit back and what is the issue? Is it because she yells at the children? Is it because she wants to use corporal punishment on the children? Is it because he cusses around the children? What is the issue? And then let's talk about, okay, I statements. I feel when you do this, this is how I feel. I see it this way. And then put it on the table. Let the other party respond. This is where it becomes hard for anybody. Soon as you respond, I want to respond. Because what you about to say don't make no sense. Because I already know what you about to say, but you don't. Let the response come out. Have a little notepad, something to write down so you can get the key parts. And then stop. Let them say it. Stop listening to respond. Let them say it. Look at your little notes. Reframe and rephrase and say, listen, did I get it right? Am I sure? So conflict is natural. Conflict will happen in every relationship, any relationship. If someone tells you they've been married and they ain't had no conflict, okay, that's your truth. You do that. Because you're going to have it. You might, I just may not be feeling good and you say something and it just sets me off. That shouldn't ruin your relationship. It shouldn't end it, but have a conversation about it. And again, it ain't about you. It's about the children. How can we parent more effectively so we can support our children to be viable, valuable members of our communities? And they can reach their best selves. As long as y'all are on that same page, it's going to work out. I know for example, my parents, they were high school sweethearts. My parents told me their entire goal in life was to ensure that their children went to college. Not to have a big house, not to have a big car, but somewhere along the line, their children were going to attend college. Because for them, as a African-American couple that came from Malvern, Arkansas, maybe 10,000 people, if then, but then probably 3,000. How can they move and make sure their children do not have hard lives? Their thought was to go to college. So that was their entire plan. And out of 4, 3 graduated from college and 2 have master's degrees. So they accomplished these goals. What's important for our parents, our co-parents, and our parents of children, our married couples or couples who are living together, what is your goal in life? What do you intend? What are you trying to get to? And when you have those blips, stop taking it so personal, because it really, you're going to be hurt. Someone's going to make you sad, but is it a sadness that will last for the rest of your life? Or is it something you can unpack and get to the goal? Having a conversation is hard. It ain't easy, but it's necessary.
Vicky, one of the things that you said that I think we don't do enough is the rephrase. I think sometimes, we have our own, like you might be saying something and then the other person just understands totally different than what you say, and we're guilty of it too. Sometimes they say something and we take it personal and we think something else. So I think it's very important, that we kind of for reassurance for the other party and for ourselves, do are you saying what I think you're saying? Is this what you're
Right.
saying? Kind of before you react, because I think, like you said, especially when you're having those serious conversation, we are so emotional, and it's like you're not thinking, you're just like spitting stuff out. So I think it is important to kind of be able to, like, okay, let me take a second and let me repeat what I think you said, and then you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm very big on, like when I'm having a conversation and somebody said, well, you said, like, I never said that. That's not what I said. So that like throws me overboard. So I think that's a great piece of advice, and yes, I will take that with me from today. But also I wanted to ask, because I've seen it very close to me, like, what happens when you start blending families, when you bring a third person from outside? I know, very, like I said, one of my brothers, he entered a relationship, and there was already a child in that. The lady already had a baby, and she came very young, 2-3 years old, something like that. And then they got pregnant, and they had their own common child. And it was like, it felt at times like you're good enough to support my child and give my child everything they need, but when it comes to disciplining the child, you can't say anything because that's not your kid. Like, how do you understand, like, how do you blend that
Absolutely.
in, knowing that yes, I'm responsible for you, I have a say, even though it's not my kid, but it is my kid because I'm raising it. How do we address all that?
So it's the funny thing, right? We're given all this great advice, plan these conversations, have these conversations, but let's be real. Most time we fall into relationships, right? Ain't nobody having no conversation beforehand. You done fell into this relationship, you done fell in love. Next thing you know, you got this baby. And this girl came with the baby, and you knew the girl came with the baby. And then it comes back to, why do you feel you have the need to discipline my baby? Why is that a common conversation? Why do you feel that need? And that's the hard part, because see, we don't do pre stuff. Nobody does pre stuff. If y'all doing pre stuff out there, I commend you. But we just fall in love. We just meet people, and we put our own expectations on these folks. And we feel that if I'm taking care of this child and the child's raggedy tail daddy ain't, and I'm feeding the child, I'm clothing the child, I'm picking the child up from school, why can't I have some disciplinary powers? Okay, because it ain't yours, and we ain't had a conversation about it. Or I may not like how you discipline your own children. I don't like you yelling. I might like to yell. You might not like it. And since it's my baby, I have control over what you like or want me to do. So at the end of the day, it all falls back to, once we find ourselves in this, and once the conflict raises its head, because see, in the beginning, we was in love, and he lacing us, so we good. But then he want to have a say, and we not good. Because see, we don't do preemptive work. We don't. But when it comes, now you see it, you saw the flag. What are you going to do about the flag? You're going to have a conversation. You need to examine within yourself why you trust this man enough to take care, feed. You're in a room, a house with this man and your child, but you don't trust him enough to have disciplinary powers over your baby. That's something you may want to do some self-examination on.
That's true. That's a good point. And I could just imagine, because when you start blending those families, it's like another layer of extra stuff. It's not just the two people. Now you have another party. So it's a sancocho.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then
It's
when
a
you
big
add
gumbo.
the cultural nuances, right? And the experiences, these nuances, and let's add a sprinkle of trauma here and there because of those past experiences. Then we add the layer of trust issues or concerns, and how our life experiences have framed and shaped how we discipline or how we engage with others. There's a
Yeah.
lot to unpack. You have to decide whether or not this person's entry into your life and your children's lives is of value for you to do the work to unpack the
Yeah.
concerns.
Huge challenge because you know
Sure.
nothing about this other party, but you know their influence is in your house. So yeah, huge challenges that can definitely be
Indeed.
overcome. Yes. Vicky, I want to thank you for your time as always, your expertise. It was amazing. I definitely learned some stuff, even though I've been co-parenting for a while. My oldest is 19 and my youngest is 13. So we've been co-parenting. And sometimes,
Yes, ma'am.
that's what I want to do, but I can't. So I just, meditate and I just think about love and gratitude, when I feel that way. And I have learned when to make those phone calls and when to not make those phone calls and to when just sometimes reply okay to a text message, So you just kind of learn as you go. But again, thank you so much for your time. Our time is up and we're ready for Maddie's poem.
I love Maddie's poems.
Yes, we love it.
Thank you again, Vicky, for all your fabulous insight. We definitely learn a lot. So I think, children don't come with instructions. And, sometimes, like you said, we fall in love and we don't know, sometimes we're not really sure who we're making babies with. And then the babies are here and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
But thank you for that. I think, becoming a mother was one of those things that completely changed my life. I've always said that my first child, which is my daughter, she saved my life, and I probably wouldn't be here today if she was not in my life. So this poem, it's from my book, A Vision of She. Shameless plug. And it's a short one, and it's called Love at First Sight. So, I never believed in love at first sight. It is one of those myths that people over recite, like, I can remember my life before you. You take my breath away with every look, like I want to be better because of you. I once thought that I could spot a fake, and all explanations were plastic behind that phrase until I encountered your face. My entire life flashed before my eyes, analyzing how I could explain all of that so that you could be proud of who I am. There are no combinations of the alphabet that can describe the feeling I carry inside, the fears I constantly wish I could subside, the evil I am willing to fight so that it never finds its way into your life. My life isn't any longer about me guarding the doors of your world, my job to watch you become the best that you could be. It is as if this shield that I've spent my existence covering in is crumbling. My weakest point fully exposed, becoming visible to the world. Now everyone knows where I hurt. You, my kryptonite, the quickest way to get me to die. Obvious. The day you found your way into my arms, you wrapped your fingers around my heart to claim me. I am forever yours and you are mine. Love at first sight, you give meaning to who I am. All overrated phrases are not eloquent enough to All overrated love phrases are not eloquent enough to paint a portrait of this love that defines me. You remind me every time you call me mom. Thank you.
I love it. Thank
you,
you, Maddie.
Maddie.
Thank you, Maddie. That was beautiful.
Yes. We always love the emotional ones. We love to see Maddie cry.
You feel it in your voice and your energy, and
Yes, I
like
love
we're
it.
just
I love it.
you
So
project
I'm gonna have
so
to
well.
tell next time that Maddie's performing, we're gonna have to tell Vicky about it so we can go see you.
Actually, we're having a big competition. December 15th. It's a Friday. The venue on 35th Street in Norfolk is competition we're sending a representative to represent the area in Women of the World Poetry Slam that's going to be in Baltimore this next year. So we're going to send a representative, and this all women poets competition. It's going to be amazing. So
tell Vicky about your rating last year.
Oh, I ranked, it was not last year, the year before, I ranked 18th in the world. Out of 62 women, I was 18, so I'll take it. So I'm coming next year, and I'm hoping to do better than 18, so.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Congratulations to you.
Yes.
Vivian, can I do a shameless plug?
Of course.
All right, everyone. If you are interested in a court-approved co-parenting class or mediation services, you can reach out to me, 757-816-4478, or at info at opndoor.com.
Open door.
If you are a Spanish-speaking person, a person who speaks Spanish, and you wish to take my class, and I do have materials that have been translated in Spanish. However, if you have a translator that you feel comfortable with, that person is invited to be a part of the class for free. I do not charge your translator because I want to support you as a resource. So, and if that person who is translating for you, supporting you, also needs a co-parenting certificate, they will get that certificate for free as well.
Thank you, Vicky. Yes. Opendoor.com, right?
Yes, ma'am. opndoor.com, which means open door without the E, because I got to be different.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Yes, and when we run the show, we'll put that information on the information at the bottom as well, so we can always get in contact with Vicky. And I hope you ladies have an amazing, wonderful, great week, productive, and do as you please, because you have the freedom to do so.
Absolutely.
Gracias.
See you guys next Sunday at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Mark.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
Thank you, Vicky.
You're welcome.
Being a parent is great, but not always easy. It can be harder when you don't live together, but you can still be a great parent. One of the most important things is for parents to work together. It's normal to disagree, but the way you handle it has a big effect on your child. Try to stick to a routine and make plans built around your child. Include things like birthdays and holidays. Everyone needs to agree and stick to the plan as best they can. Kids do better when parents work together, and they'll remember it for a lifetime. For more help, visit getparentingtips.com.
We are sending you signals every day.
We are sending you signals every day.
We're sending you signals every day.
We're sending you signals every day.
I'll be feeling sad, but you're too busy to notice.
We are sending you signals every day. I'll tell you that I'm feeling afraid, but you'll just tell me everything's okay.
I'll get real angry about something, but you'll take it personally.
We are sending you signals every day.
My grades will drop.
And you'll yell at me for not trying.
I stopped caring about how I look.
And you didn't even notice.
We are sending you signals every day.
I don't see my friends anymore. And you think it's good that I'm always home.
We are sending you signals every day.
I'll tell you, I wish I could go to sleep and never wake up.
And you tell me to stop staying up so late.
We are sending you signals every day.
I need you to look.
I need you to listen.
And ask me if you can help.
Pamela, I noticed that you built your retaining wall on my property. You will have to give me my land back or compensate me for that.
My contractor isn't dumb. I trust that he will not build anything on your property. Where is your proof?
Let's go to court. This situation does not require you to go to court. Looks like we have to go through mediation here. Mediation is a way people resolve conflicts like this. Someone, a third party, comes to speak to both parties. This person is called the mediator. The mediator is impartial. He or she makes sure that communication between both parties is effective and efficient. So, the mediator is a judge? No, the mediator is not a judge. Mediators, unlike judges, do not decide cases or impose settlements. Let me get a mediator to handle this retaining wall and that kitchen.
Kitchen?
Yes, your kitchen also falls on my land. Let me call the mediator.
Are just so impressed with them. Like I said, we've been with them for years. I will recommend and refer anyone to them. We stand by A+ academics. They're the best.
A+ tutorial really did help me with all my grades. They all went up when I came to this place. And I would say I recommend this school to everyone.
So it's a really good environment to be in, especially for me because it makes me look up to my parents.
If you have students that need academic help, A+ Academics is the place to be.
A+ Academics, what a great place to go for academics.
It's just a really great place to learn.